RSN Central, the Midweek Masterclass. The boys from the mailbag join Gareth Hall on RSN Central.
It is time for the Midweek Masterclass. Thanks to the mailbag team, Jack Dickens, Pete Antonis, and hopefully Mark Roden will join us a little later as well. Just having trouble getting in contact with Mark, but let's welcome in the team. Jack Dickens, hello to you.
How are you, mate?
Looking forward to previewing this meeting at Cranbourne tomorrow.
It looks a decent meeting for a Cranbourne meeting, so yeah, excited.
And Pete Antonis, hello to you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Gareth.
Plenty happening across in the West as well. Okay, let's get stuck into the trainers that we need to be following. We'll start off with you, Jack.
I've got two trainers we can keep an eye on, Mick Kent and Matt Laurie. I think they're both in a little purple patch. I think Mick Kent has been in one for a little bit longer, so maybe he might sort of level out soon. But the Laurie camp is starting to fly.
All right then, Matty Laurie, very good young trainer. What about you, Pete, across in the West?
Gareth, it's really hard to go past the Wolfman in Steve Wolf. He just keeps finding a way, and that horse, the Spruker, has just found another race there on Saturday. Now she get another victory. He's going to be taking the spring off, but Wolfie's got a whole heap of horses that we haven't seen in a little while. The way that camp is going, you just have to be treading very carefully with those horses as we get to the good races.
Yeah, congratulations to Steve Wolf. He's in his early 70s, but he's been brave enough to change the way that he thought about his business. I think he's got some really good owners behind him, some lifelong friends, and they changed up their model from what they were doing at the yearling sales. They followed Bob Peters in a way and went for the better bred type of gallopers, and now they're seeing the rewards in a way, Pete.
Yeah, completely agree. And obviously it's a long trip to make up from Albany. There's no Albany races at the moment, but they're doing it with ease at the moment.
Okay, Mark Roden, where is he, Jack?
I'm not sure, mate. I'm actually on the road today. I've left.
I thought you're the captain of the ship.
Months.
We'll try and catch up with Mark and hopefully before the end of this segment, but maybe you could send through his better bets and the staking plan so we can pass that on to our listeners for this very popular segment now, the Midweek Masterclass, Jack. What about jockeys to follow?
We've spoken about them a little bit, but I'm convinced Ethan Brown's better than the opportunities he's getting and can be followed. And also, he looks real thirsty to me, so he can be back with confidence at the wider joints, which is where he's riding. And in the city, I don't know if he's the nephew or is a relation of the trainer in Perth, but young Fred Kersley is starting to blossom, Gareth, in Victoria. I thought his ride on Mahatmadeus was like strong and youthful. Like he was into that horse a long way out and was the strongest through the line. I don't know if he's been lifting a few weights or what he's been up to, Fred, but it's working.
Yeah, I would imagine, I can't believe he doesn't get more of an opportunity.
I think Fred gets a good opportunity at the moment. I think he's making the most of it.
Yeah. So Fred Kersley's a jockey to follow there. What about horses to follow in your part of the world, Jack? Have you got one for us?
I think we just stick with I'm Thunderstruck. I think it was enormous. It ticked a big box. It's a much different track, Moonee Valley to Flemington. It's another sort of tick for this horse. Unfortunately, for the purists out there, we probably lose the horse to a pop-up race in Sydney, which might be run at Wyong or Gosford potentially with the way they're going up there. But it'll still be worth a heap of money, so we'll lose on Thunderstruck to the Coogee or whatever it's called. But the other horse, which you need to do a bit of research for, Gareth, is Mr. Cancun. Uncle Lindsay loved what it did there first up at Moonee Valley. Okay,
so if you had to choose one horse now, I Am Thunderstruck or Ayrton, which one would you choose?
I Am Thunderstruck.
Would you really?
Yep.
So he's the value there at $11 with the market for the Golden Eagle. I think he arrived at the Spelling Paddocks today. He'll have that little time off before being set for a race like the Golden Eagle. What about you, Pete? Have you got one for us?
Horse or a jockey?
We'll go the jockey first and then a horse.
It would be remiss of me not to mention Shooter McGrady. If I'm talking about Steve Wolf, I haven't mentioned Sean McGrady. But 19 of his last 100, he's been going better over his last 50, 53% profit on turnover, but he's riding in a little bit more confidence. He obviously had that back injury last year, Gareth, and I think that might have just dented him a little bit. He wasn't riding with as much vigour, especially with those horses that he can settle on speed, but the last couple of months he's really turned the corner and he's back in his best form. So Shooter to be riding a couple of great rides, some wide draws on pace horses for me.
All right then, Shooter McGrady, that's good to see. He's one of the good blokes and he's kicking plenty of goals at the moment. Is there any horses to follow from the West? Because usually we see maybe a couple that come across to Victoria, especially in the Cerise and White, and make their presence felt.
Well, we saw a couple of debutants in the last week from the Cerise and White, and Treasured Star was the Toronado out of Treasured Gift that debuted on Wednesday. Got back to last, was a little bit tardy away on that heavy track, and Wuhan Warrior basically skipped away and gapped the field. Treasured Star's a really, really nice type, and I don't know where it goes to next. I suspect they'll just put it straight up for a spell, but more than happy to be following that into its 3-year-old season. And Fine Romance, it probably wasn't as impressive for mine. I think obviously a lot of people will see the way that it packed the line behind Search and Rocks, but it did have everything in its favour, and it was a great ride by Willie Pike, just coming up the inside, and the horse did loom and peak just at the end. That's a horse that will need a bit more time for me. It needs a little bit more furnishing, but respect it. So you think out of Paris Romance, Bob's going to be producing a lot of these horses over the coming weeks, and look, they're all going to be well bred, and for the most part they'll be nice types. But those two, I think, had a little bit more than what I've seen from some of the others in recent years.
Do you have a punting lesson for us this week, Jack?
Don't force it. I said that last week, didn't I? But this time of year, it's crucial. So we head to Cranbourne tomorrow. It's a midweek meeting. Cranbourne's not a midweek track, is it? So we're going to see different setups to normal. And just because it's a Wednesday, you shouldn't just bet the same amount that you would have bet. You need to go through your same process and stick to your process, and you'll survive this tricky little period that is the back end of winter in Victoria.
All right then. Pete, have you got some punting lessons for us, or a punting lesson?
Yeah, this might sound a little bit counterintuitive being a punter, Gareth, but don't be afraid to pull the ripcord and get out of the meeting. We saw this at Kalgoorlie on Sunday. I priced up the entire event, and the first race, there's rain, and not just rain. It's in the middle of basically a complete downpour. The forecast had anticipated less than 1 millimetre, and it was completely against what I thought. And Kalgoorlie's a track where if it gets too much rain early, it can really throw up a very distinct pattern. So I basically had a bet in 2 races. They were the 2 edges I thought I had. Didn't win either of them. Pulled the cord and just went and watched the footy for the rest of the day. You've done all the work. It doesn't mean you have to bet.
Yeah. All right, then. That is great advice. We should follow that. I should follow it anyway. What about your staking plan at Cranbourne there tomorrow afternoon, Jack?
Right, get your phones out and get typing.
Yes.
Cranbourne, race 2, number 9, Moolah, $100 on. I'm not sure of the prices, sorry, Gareth, but it's about $4.40, I believe.
Yep, $4.20, race 2, number 9, Moolah. So how much are we having on it?
100.
100 the win at $4.20, and then where do we go?
We head to race 4, Mickey Kent, Joshy Richards, number 7, Royale, $75 on, please. I think it's $6.50 with the jab.
Yep, $6.50, Royale, $6.50, 75 the win. We've got $25 left.
And then a little Hail Mary in race 7, number 13, Our Little Ripper, 25 on the nostril.
13, Our Little Ripper, $15. All right then, Jack. You've had a wonderful midweek masterclass, new season, but we're well and truly up, Jack.
No, we're flying. We're flying. Hopefully it continues. But like I said, we probably shouldn't spend $200 tomorrow, but we have. I'm happy with these bets, and I'm convinced we'll beat those prices. So the prices we've just taken now, they'll jump a lot shorter.
All right, then what about you, Pete? What are you doing here?
Well, I'm halfway through the card so far, Gareth, and I must say I haven't really found anything that's jumping out of me except for one race. This is race 2. Look, He's a Sizzler should have won first up. That's all I'm going to say. Should have won over 1,000. Was restrained back to last. He got into an awful spot, had no momentum, and completely savaged the line. It's jumping up off that very slow tempo to 1,400 metres, and I'm expecting the horse will go up very short. There was a trialer a debutant in the same race called Wicked Fox for Uncle Neville, and it got back about 5 lengths last, and Lachdale Romilly was basically sitting on it and giving it very little pressure in the straight, and the horse made up some really good ground going to the line. If He's a Sizzler goes up too short, say, under $2.20 or so, we'll ignore it, And we'll just have a tiny bit on Wicked Fox because I think that's going to be the value runner in the race. If He's a Sizzler goes up a bigger price than 250, we'll just dump the lot straight on. So we're not really sure what the market's going to do there in race 2, but those are the two gallopers I have interest in.
All right, then. So race 2, we'll back maybe a couple there. If the price is right with He's a Sizzler, we'll jump aboard, especially that's the galloper that you have identified for that second race there at Belmont on a Wednesday afternoon, and that galloper is the 1 there.
Yeah, exactly.
And Wicked Fox is the 8. Good on you, mate. Good on you, Pete. Good on you, Dicko. Keep on dominating, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Do you want a better Pakenham?
Yes, please.
Race 8, number 14. Have a little nibble each way at it.
Race 8, number 14 at Pakenham on the synthetic track. You're a Pakenham specialist as well. Good on you, Dicko. Keep on dominating. We appreciate your time as always.
Bye for now.
There we go. There's Jack Dickens, and good on to Pete Antonis as well. He'll be back for the Form Express tomorrow afternoon, and that is the Midweek Masterclass for this Tuesday, the 3rd of August.